Right, so these are notes from Blackboard from Chapter 3. So one confusing thing to understand from Chapter 3 is this theory, this hypothesis called the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. And so it talks about how if you don't have words for things, then you can't think about things you don't have words for. So at this point, you want to make sure you watch the video first and then come back to this. Okay, so we know from the video, they didn't have words for certain things, so they couldn't think about certain things. So a big example is they didn't have the word gravity. So he didn't know when he threw the Coke bottle up in the air that it would come back down, right? So they hadn't studied gravity, they knew nothing about Newton, right? So he didn't know that was going to happen. So another thing that they don't have words for is they don't have a word that says airplane. They don't know what an airplane is. So when the guy threw the Coke bottle out of the airplane, the only thing that they know comes from the sky is stuff that the gods send down, such as rain, or I don't think they have snow, but a bottle, which they don't even have the word bottle, so an object came down from the sky, and they don't have any words for that. So they didn't pick it up and go, oh, it was a Coke bottle, and there's no more Coke in it. They don't even have those words, so they can't make that sentence, right? So all they know is when they see the world and look at things in the world, they can only think about it according to what they know, right? And so that means you cannot think about certain things you don't know. If there's actually a life on another planet, you don't even have words for that to talk about it, except from sci-fi movies, right? So back in the 60s, 70s, I think even 80s, when there wasn't a cell phone, there were no cell phone words, right? So what words were not said, especially 60s and 70s, words were not said and were not known that have anything to do with the cell phone? What words do they not know? Yeah, selfie. You would say, if you went back to the future and you said selfie, they had no idea what you're talking about. A video call, they would have no idea what you're talking about, and they can't even think that way. What else? They don't have certain words in thinking about. Social media. How about going with the simple word of texting? Right? The word texting didn't appear until a cell phone appears where you have the ability to text. Otherwise, you can't think about the word texting because it's not here. There's things not here yet that might be in your future that you don't have any words for them yet. Right? So this is sort of what this hypothesis says. Basically, if you don't have words for something, you can't think about something. If you don't have words for a cell phone or texting or any of that, you can't even think about that. Right? Explain how the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis applies to the video. These are on the video questions on your Chapter 3 notes. Page 3. So what do y'all think? How is this explained? So they grew up in this tribe where they all got along, and they didn't have like one item that was special. And when all of a sudden there was one item that was special, this bottle, that they were very creative and figured out all these different things to do with that bottle. But next thing you know, since there was only one, for the first time ever in this tribe, they started competing. And they started competing, and then they started getting angry with each other. They hit each other. They got jealous of who had it, right? None of this was present in their tribe until this bottle came about, right? Which is a very interesting part of what goes on in this theory. this next question, explain how the tribe's language influences or determines how they see the world. We sort of answered all that already within this. And then we get to our next question. So name 4 ways the Coke bottle is perceived by the tribe's people. What did they think that bottle was? All their creative stuff. Well, they used it to pound the bread, right? And you said
Music instrument.
they used it as a musical instrument.
As a bottle, and the one was filled with water, and they're using it into
The container.
as a container.
As a container, yep. And then they used it to make a headband, which was really like art. They turned it over, made little holes in it, so it was pretty. So they did a lot of things. That's sort of sad too to think about. When you sort of know something to be one thing, you might not think of it in all the creative ways they thought of it. So when you see a Coke bottle, you probably don't pick it up and think, "Oh, we can do at least 10 different cool things with this Coke bottle." Right? You probably think, empty Coke bottle, we'll just throw it in the trash. Right? The only purpose was to hold a liquid in it, and now the liquid is gone. But that didn't happen when they didn't sort of know what it was supposed to be, which is a really interesting thing about communication in itself, too. Okay. So now to the review questions. I think this is page 4, chapter 3 notes. Communicating competently means you are wearing the appropriate clothes to match the scenario. True or false? True. You're being appropriate, so you're accommodating to be appropriate.
But you're not, so it doesn't say if
So the first question is true. A second question, what is the denotative meaning of New York City?
City in New York.
Yes, the city in New York. Yeah, it's just a dictionary meaning. It's just a city in New York. New York State. What is the connotative meaning of New York City?
Big city.
Busy.
Big city, the Big Apple, busy, tall buildings, Statue of Liberty,
Times Square.
Times Square,
What apple was it? This one you said?
Big Apple. It's known as the Big Apple.
Kind of multi-city.
The city that never sleeps. Connotative meanings of New York City. All right, next question. According to the ladder of abstraction, is the following example of a general or specific statement? Oh, wait, we did this in class. Pets increase happiness. General. Right. And if you want to make it more specific, you would say
The breeze.
dogs or the breed of dog or another specific pet. Good. 6. Imagine a place where everyone is kind and compassionate. What words or concepts would they not know?
Anger.
Anger,
greedy,
hate, greedy,
selfish,
selfish, disgust, jealous. Good. And the other one we have to do something different with.